Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Litter Media Live Special Edition. Joining us today, we have Charlie Frazier of the Chillicothe Christmas Church Walk, which will be held on December the 2nd. This is the third year for that walking tour here in Chillicothe. Our interview today brought to you by Tomlinson Insurance. Back with Charlie Frazier right after this.
This is Andy Tomlinson. When insuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
Back with Charlie Frazier. Charlie, this is year 3 for the walking tour. I guess that means the first 2 were successful.
Well, we think so. We had about 200 people on each year, each walk, and that's a success for us. Yeah, we're happy that people could come out and enjoy it.
Now, ticket proceeds each year go to some type of charity, and where's it going this year?
Going to the Adena Hospital Foundation Women and Children's Fund. We've donated a little over $4,000 in both years combined to the Women and Children's Fund. Yeah.
We said December 2nd is the night for the third annual. 5 p.m. is when it starts. What churches will be participating this year?
Well, everybody will show up at the First Wesleyan Church, 89 South Mulberry, and where they will enjoy a program. And then we'll lead out in 4 different groups to Calvary Lutheran, really a short walk away. And then from there, they'll split up to Quinn Chapel, AME Church, or to St. Paul Episcopal Church. And then those groups will switch, and we will dismiss then from the last church you visit.
Now, for those that have not been on the tour before, what happens when you get to each site?
Well, you will walk in, and you will be ushered in into the church, and then the church gives a brief history about their structure or about their congregation, about maybe some of their polity, and then they give a program. And it's unique to that church. They have complete freedom to choose the type of the style of the program they want to give. And we've had dramas before, which were just outstanding. We have bluegrass music, which is outstanding, and we've had bell choirs. We've had other types of choirs too. Advent music at the Catholic churches, which is really nice. Yeah.
When we were visiting before we went on the air, the age of many of these churches, talk about that.
Yeah, well, I've got some information online and on the church's websites about the age of some of these structures. The St. Paul's Episcopal was consecrated in 1833, and so that's an extremely old structure. And then the Quinn Chapel African Methodist Episcopal Church, AME Church, that structure was built in 1910. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that the Calvary Lutheran is, or at least part of it, is much newer than that. I can remember driving past, watching them build that sanctuary and lifting the trusses on. Yeah, so that was in the 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
And then you know more about the
First Wesleyan actually started as a German Methodist church in the late 1800s, and of course it didn't. I think the Methodist, or there was an offspring of it wasn't the United Methodist. It was another Methodist branch joined with Pilgrim Holiness Church, and I think that was in the 60s. Mid to late 60s, and that's how it became a Wesleyan church. But yeah, that front structure goes back to the late 1800s. One of the former members of that congregation, full disclosure, Charlie and I go to the First Wesleyan, who has since passed away. He had a picture, and I think these kind of photographs were common in the day. But this photograph where the whole congregation went out in front of the church and had a big picture taken, and I think that one was like 1940 or 1941. Right. I guess we don't do that. Yeah. We ought to.
I've seen similar pictures of other churches. It is pretty interesting.
Yeah. A lot of family there.
Yeah.
Tickets are on sale. Where can we get those?
Okay. We can buy tickets. You can buy paper tickets from 3 sources now, from the Ross Chillicothe Convention and Visitors Bureau at 230 North Plaza Boulevard in Chillicothe. at the Kingston National Bank branch on Western Avenue. I think it's 790 Western Avenue. It's right next to Scioto Shoe Mart, all right, and at the Old Home Store in Frankfort, or near Frankfort on Frankfort-Clarksburg Pike, right next to 35 intersection, yeah.
Right.
And then you can buy tickets online at Eventbrite. We've got those up now, so they're for sale.
Is there any kind of a deadline of purchasing the tickets in advance, and can you buy tickets the day of the event?
Sure, at the door. If those facilities, if those venues are open that day, a Saturday, probably 2 of them will be, at least part of the time. You can get paper tickets there, but we don't turn anybody away. You can buy tickets at the door. Tickets at the door are $15 though, so get your tickets early. Just regular paper tickets are $10, and then the Eventbrite tickets are $13. We added in the Eventbrite fees this year to the cost of the ticket.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, while it's a walking tour, we do have, I believe, at least one shuttle for folks that maybe can't make that whole tour walking.
Right. We've asked a friend of ours that drives a 15-passenger van if he would be a shuttle, if he would shuttle people around, and we're asking, that is for people that just absolutely cannot walk the route. It is a walking tour, so bring your walking clothes.
Yeah.
We're going to do it rain or shine, rain or stars, I say. And so if it's raining, we're still going to walk. Bring an umbrella if you need to. Bring a flashlight. And it's not like it's very far between these churches. Right. What is it? 3 blocks between the Calvary Lutheran and the Wesleyan Church, and so it's not very far between the churches.
We've had Charlie on in years past talking about this, again, as this is the 3rd year for the walking tour, but for those that maybe have missed those interviews, let's go back and visit it, how you were inspired to do this in Chillicothe.
Well, I have a really long answer to a really good short question with that, but we have attended the similar event in Lancaster. That's where we got the idea, and they helped us out a lot. I contacted them when we were thinking about doing this, and they helped me out a lot to try to, so we could figure out how to organize this. That's where we got the idea. That and a couple verses in the book of Luke that I like to refer to, but that's a pretty long Sunday school lesson right there. So I'm not going to try to do that on the air. But that's where we got our inspiration, is mainly from Lancaster.
Yeah. Do you know of any other communities in Southern Ohio do anything like this, other than Lancaster?
I really don't. Now, I will say that we've had interest from a church organization in Cuyahoga County. They contacted me. I don't know if they're doing it this year, but I sent them some materials and told them about the way we do it here. So maybe they're thinking about doing something this Christmas season too.
Obviously, to make something like this work, you not only have to have the cooperation of the churches involved, but volunteers.
Oh, my goodness, yes. We have a really good, faithful group of volunteers that are the team leaders. This would not happen without the team leaders. They're very good at what they do. And I think the strengths of this tour are keeping the trains running on time, and the programs that the churches do, and the churches spend a lot of time, especially the music directors of these churches they're really excited about these church walks, and they put a lot of time and effort into practicing their performances. I know at Calvary Lutheran they've been practicing this for months.
Wow.
Yeah, in anticipation. They're pretty excited about this.
Yeah.
They're pretty excited about doing this, and so we appreciate them very much. It's not just, it's all the volunteers involved that make this a good event.
I know when you were talking to me, this is 3 years ago, when you were thinking about this idea, you were expressing to me that it's not just about history, but it's about the faith of the people that created these churches in order to get that faith message out to their communities.
Right. Consider the sacrifice that people made to build these structures, and not just to build them, but to maintain them, to keep them staffed. People give large portions of their life to do that, and these are beautiful structures downtown, and it's nice to get people in them so they can be appreciated.
Right.
It's kind of our way of giving back. So.
You know, when you look back, and if they had some kind of a price tag on what a church cost to build in the early 1800s, it would be a lot less than now. But consider the cost of everything back then was much lower. And as you said, there are probably instances where some of the founding fathers and mothers of these churches probably had to dip down deep into their resources to do what they did.
Yes, they did. It was a huge sacrifice. It had to have been a huge sacrifice. Can you imagine building a structure like the Walnut Street Methodist Church these days? Can you imagine the cost of doing something like that?
Yeah,
it was just
incredible.
It wouldn't be the chosen option. I don't think people would choose to do that now because it is so grand, so beautiful that it would just be prohibitive, I think.
And also think back to that era, how people traveled to get to these churches. It wasn't in their, Honda CRV or whatever.
That's right. The early 20th century, mid 19th century, when some of these structures were built, they were walking, or there was horseback or horse-powered transportation or mules or something. It wasn't. It was a more of a sacrifice to get to church. Back then than it is now.
I don't know if it was the case for some of the other churches, not only this year but in previous years that have been on the tour. It's not untypical over history that a church had a home that a pastor and his family would live in. But I know in the case, and I don't know if the people leading the First Wesleyan tour will even know this to share, but I know in the early 30s, 40s, 50s, the pastor and his family actually lived inside that church at First Wesleyan when it was a Pilgrim Holiness Church. Okay. The home was inside the church.
Okay.
So I know that a lot of, they have maybe a house that's right next to the church, but in that case, it was in the church. I think of a mortician. Sometimes they live in the house that is their office, so to speak. So, you just can't get away from it. Yeah. What do they do on vacation?
A dedicated individual, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be able to do that.
Charlie, anything you want to touch on before we close?
Bring a flashlight. Parking. I want to talk a little bit about parking.
Yes, help yourself.
At First Wesleyan, parking is limited. They're working on that.
Yeah.
But there's parking on 4th, 5th Street and Mulberry Street. There's a small parking lot in front of the church. So I've contacted the other churches involved, Quinn Chapel and Calvary Lutheran. Both have parking. They said that we could use. And the Walnut Street Methodist also has an adjoining parking lot to, as you know, to Calvary Lutheran that they said we could use. Right. They're very gracious about that. So my suggestion is find one of those places to park. It is centrally located to the end of the tour, so you don't have very many steps from the end of the tour to where you would leave a car at one of those parking lots. So leave a vehicle there, and then you can hoof over to the Wesleyan Church for the beginning, and then just join the tour. And when the tour is over, you just have a few steps to get back to your car, and you won't be. It's just easier to park there than it is around the Wesleyan Church.
Gotcha. All righty. If anybody has any questions, is there contact information for that?
You can certainly contact us on our Facebook page, Chillicothe Christmas Church Walk. You can leave messages there. I've sent out many emails to everybody that bought a ticket on Eventbrite last year's got my email address, so they can email me there. So I think probably the best way to get in touch with us is through the Facebook page.
Very good.
Yep.
Charlie, we appreciate your coming in, and hopefully an even bigger crowd this year.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for letting us come and talk about our event on your media.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Very good. Charlie Frazier of the Chillicothe Christmas Church Walk. That's December the 2nd at 5 p.m. You can get ticket information. Go to their social media page. You can also call the Ross Chillicothe Convention and Visitors Bureau for more information. Our special edition today brought to you by Tomlinson Insurance. I'm Mike Smith.